All right, we are on to week 2 of the Pitt County high school football season, and to begin with, Tony, sorry, but we got to give some props. One person up here, Mr. Gentry over here, had a perfect week last week. So
those are rare, man. Congrats.
A solid golf clap goes out to Jim. He's undefeated, so we got to see what happens week 2.
So I'm retiring right now.
Yeah. It'd be great if you got to walk out.
Pull Barry Sanders. But
see ya.
But yeah, a lot of good games again this week, so we'll go ahead and get right into it, Tony. We got some makeup to do on the standings chart for the picks. But the first game is an all Pitt County matchup. I think a really good one. Aiden Grifton is at D.H. Conley.
Yeah, it's a tough game to pick too.
Yeah.
After week 1, you kind of know something about these teams. You don't really know what their identity is going to be. I think with Aiden Grifton, though, we knew before the first game what their identity was going to be, and the first game, didn't do anything to dissuade us from that fact. They rushed for 452 yards. They threw a grand total of 5 passes, completed none of them, and still won big over a Riverside team that series had been close.
Yep.
Complete blowout. I was at the game, and it was just a force of wills. Aiden Grifton's was too much. Conley coming off a big win, too. Really impressed with the play of that freshman quarterback, Ehlers. There were some question marks around him. I think he came up great after that win over North Pitt. So, tough game to pick. Maybe one of the best games, maybe the best game of the week.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we got to do it. So, who are you going to pick?
Just on classification alone, I'm going to pick Conley. They should have bigger, faster players, you would imagine. That and that alone, I'm picking them. I think it'll be close, though.
Okay, Jim.
I agree with Tony. It's going to be a close game, and I think I'm going to pick Conley too. I just think they're going to have a little bit too much offense. I think it'll be a close game. I mean, I don't think any of us will be surprised if Aiden Grifton, pull up the upset, but I think you got to give Conley the edge right now.
I agree. Yeah, before the show, I mentioned I kind of teased that I kind of want to pick Aiden Grifton, but I'm with y'all. I mean, I think Conley. You kind of have to go on the track record. Last year, when these teams played, Conley won, kind of going away.
Yeah.
They're at home, so I like Ehlers, and but I think both teams really have momentum going into it. I go with Conley, but I think it could be a close game. Speaking of close games, Jim, this one could be if last year follows suit.
Yeah.
J.H. Rose is hosting Laney, and Laney coming into a weird situation coming into this one.
Yeah, their game last Friday was forfeited. It was rained out, and his team Pender didn't want to play, and so Laney got the easy W there.
Yeah. Easy as they get.
But these two teams are no strangers to each other, having been in the conference together. And last year when they played, it was 6-3 Rose.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think. Rose, that Rose offense is involved in a 6-3 game. But sure enough, it was one of those nail biters. Rose had no problem scoring points last week, though.
Yeah.
At Athens Drive, Copeland Spell was involved in 5 touchdowns for them. Not surprisingly, Cornell Powell had a couple of those. They spread the ball around really well.
Yeah.
Kind of what we expected Rose to do last week.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of weird having to pick this game because, lately no one's seen Laney in an actual game.
Yeah.
And you look at that score last year, it's just kind of makes you wonder what kind of defensive effort we're going to see from them.
Okay. Yeah. What's your pick?
I'm going to go with, I think, got to go with Rose. I mean, they played so well last week. The score is kind of hard to tell much from as far as defense goes because they were up so big at halftime.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to stay involved in a game. So I just think they're going to have way too much offensively. And if Copeland Spell plays anywhere like he did last week, I mean, I don't think they'll have any issues.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of that. Coming into the year, Copeland Spell was kind of the main question mark about that offense. First game, he passes for 5 touchdowns, rushed for 60 yards. I mean,
on the road.
Yeah, if that was the question, that's a good sign for Rose.
Mm-hmm.
So not to put too much pressure on him, but I agree. I think he keeps it going. I think he's a really good player. He's a senior, experienced guy, and so many weapons around him. I think this is a good game, a really entertaining game. But I'll take Rose.
I think Rose is going to win, and I think they'll get to double digits in points.
Yeah, we can say that every week probably. All right, next game, I'll take this one. I covered South Central last week. Really big win. Beat Wilson Hunt 20.
You picked them, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. And so did Jim. Yeah. And
somebody didn't.
This week they host West Craven, which lost a close game, so they're 0-1. But both teams played in close games last week. I think we all kind of agree this one's probably going to be closer as well. So we talked last week in preseason, Tim Carter, South Central's coach, had talked about turning that corner. Winning close games is a huge part of that. They did that last week. Here's another test. I mean, this is another one where you're playing at home again. You're playing a pretty good team. Sean Furlow is obviously, he scored 2 touchdowns last week. He's the guy we've talked about. He came through, scored a winning touchdown with like 12, 13 seconds left.
Yeah.
Catches a pass from a sophomore who didn't even know he was going to be the quarterback until a few weeks ago, and because of injuries and everything that happened. So still a lot of question marks with South Central, but they found a way to win. I think that impressed me. And they're going to have to do a similar thing, I think, Friday, in what should be a close, competitive game. I'll start the picking with that one. I'm still kind of waffling, going back and forth here, but I'll go with the Falcons. I'll steal what Jim said last week and say he's going to go with Furlow until they lose. So I'm going to steal that one and say I watched Furlow in person last week, and he looked good. I like the new quarterback, Robert Rapp. He did what he needed to do. I'll go with the Falcons.
Great name, too.
Yeah.
Cool name.
Yeah.
The guy who was going to start was Majestic Jordan.
So
they got great names
Yeah.
at quarterback. South Central answered some questions for me last week.
Yeah.
That was a big win over a Hunt team that's been good in the past. Those are the games that South Central had lost at the end in the past few seasons. Found a way to win, as you mentioned. That, for me, was huge. These teams are familiar with each other. They played each other, it seems like, for 10 years in a row now. I think South Central's the real deal this year. I know it's hard to say after one game, but I'm picking them.
All right.
I thought I was going to be the only one who picked the Falcons.
No.
And I was going to shock the world by picking them.
No, I believe.
But I agree with you guys. They won the last 3 games last year.
Yeah.
They're on a little bit of a winning streak. These guys are starting to learn how to win.
Yep. Starting to believe.
Yeah, and I mean, that wasn't a bad team that South Central beat last week.
Right.
I mean, that was a legit win.
Yeah.
And like I said last week, I'm staying on that Furlow train until they lose. I think I'm picking them again. I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah.
I see South Central pulling out another.
Yeah, and Furlow, I mean, that's just scratching the surface of his
yeah.
numbers. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, he didn't even have a typical Sean Furlow game and still found a way to win. He's got bigger numbers in his
Oh, yeah.
future, I'm quite
Yeah.
sure.
I covered that game. I think I mentioned to Jim when we got back in the office. That was his B game.
Yeah, and they were still
South
great.
Central won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's scary. So okay, next game, Tony. Speaking of teams that are fired up and rolling right now,
yeah.
Farmville Central coming off a huge win
Yeah.
against the North Lenore. It looks like a great matchup for the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, to beat Plymouth last week the way Farmville Central did, that ended a 38-game home winning streak against a perennial state championship contender. A great win for Farmville Central. That was awesome. I picked against them. They proved me wrong. I didn't see that one coming. I knew they had momentum, and I knew they were going to be pretty good, and I knew they had athletes. I did not think that them going down there and beating Plymouth was in the cards, and they did it. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that they're facing an 0-1 North Lenore team, I think any team that Farmville Central is playing right now, the Jags are ready to go. It doesn't matter who it is.
Oh, yeah,
you can line up anybody.
They're
It doesn't matter.
scared.
They beat Plymouth to start the season. I think they're just going to build off that.
And it starts with Coach Gardner and on down,
Yeah.
5 years ago,
he's confident,
Yep.
and they go in each game confident. I
Yep.
mean, they expect to win when they hit the field, and it
Absolutely.
shows.
Yep.
Shaft Parker is key too. They have
He's
some
awesome.
stability at quarterback and guys around him. I mean, the offense is really, really rolling.
Yeah, it's
carried
dynamic.
Carried over from last year, which they haven't always had, in years past.
Yeah.
Um,
So Tony's taking Farmville Central. I lost track. Jim.
Farmville Central and Curly Sparks.
Yes.
Yes,
One of the best
another great
names.
name.
Yeah.
Awesome name.
Yeah, I'm going with Farmville Central too. I mean,
Okay.
they're on fire right now, and I mean, not only to beat that Plymouth team, beat them at their own
Handily.
place, but
Yeah.
to beat them like a drum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think says a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just an impressive victory.
It really was.
From beginning to end. It's just an impressive performance. You got to pick Farmville in this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree. Obviously, I don't think North Lenore is great. Farmville. I mean, just to be
That's
honest.
the truth.
Farmville Central and Aiden Griffin are coming up. They always play it. That's the game I'm looking forward to
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
soon. But
It's
as
always
far
a good one.
As far as this Friday, I think Farmville takes care of business. Last game on our slate here, Jim. North Pitt is going to South Creek.
Yes, North Pitt coming off that loss to Conley. And we knew they were going to be replacing a lot of parts on offense. And
Yeah.
it still shows they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. It's going to, these couple different guys at quarterback, they're still kind of establishing what they're going to do on offense. South
Yeah.
Creek, team that struggled in the past, did get a big win, open up the season. So, it's a couple of teams that, are I think, still trying to figure out their identity.
Yeah.
And, this is one of those games where I think Ronnie and I were just talking, it's going to be a close game. Don't know how well played it's going to be, but it's definitely going to be a close game. And it's one of those things where you almost think it's hate to say it's a must win, but North Pitt, it's a good chance to get a W.
Yeah.
And if you can go on the road and get one, this will be the time to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Are you going to pick the Panthers?
I was going back and forth, but I think I'm going to pick North Pitt. I just based on what they did last year, I think they'll get things figured out. They'll get guys in the right places. You know, they're still finding where they want people at. And, but I think this is a good opponent to do that. I think they'll come out and get a win.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with North Pitt. And something we've talked about, we referenced Conley earlier. Going from playing Conley and then playing South Creek, I mean, you got to feel North Pitt is maybe more prepared for this type of game. I think they can. I think they win. Like Jim said, it could be close. They might need to pull away in the second half or something, but I think they take care of business. Yeah,
Coach Dave Bowl and his staff have done a good job over the past few years of making week-to-week adjustments. I feel like. Yeah. Like you'll see 4 new starters out there if he's not happy with what's going on. He's going to put the best players out there to win. And I feel like that's something that maybe is going to happen this week. Maybe he saw some stuff last week he didn't like.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just that Conley was that much better. But I feel like that North Pitt knows that this is a must-win game for them probably. They're going to treat it as such. They don't want to fall 0-2. I feel like North Pitt will win.
Okay. All right. Well, so we all had the same picks.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so
sorry.
Some of Jim's mojo will rub off on us.
Following my footsteps.
We're rooting for another undefeated week. But a lot of good games again. We obviously touched on them, and go check them out, and then check back with us next week.